usually they're in a state of shock.
Well, and that too, probably.
They can't believe somebody asks you and ask them, where do you think we should go from here? That is unheard of in the sales world, to ask somebody what they think versus taking them down a process. And you know what usually happens is you just say things like, well, I've got one more question, or what about this? All of a sudden, you know what comes out? The truth. The truth comes out in the beginning because you shifted your approach, changed your languaging to allow trust to be built and not take them down a sales process which they know is coming. You see, we're so conditioned and wedded to having a linear model towards the end goal of the sale. They know right away when you're not being fully present with them. They can tell you're listening, but your mind is on the next step already. They know that with their intuition. That's why they hold back from you and don't tell you the truth. And you end up chasing people and never wondering why they never convert.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name is Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today I'm pleased to have on the show Ari Galper. And Ari is the world's #1 authority on trust-based selling and has been featured in CEO magazine, Forbes, INC magazine, SkyNews, and the Australian Financial Review. As trust becomes the most important currency in the new economy, the act of selling as a de-humanizing process with endless chasing has been completely reinvented and anchored in the timeless values of integrity and trust through trust-based selling. Now, I know that I don't like selling, so I'm going to listen very intently to what Ari has to tell me. So Ari's work includes private consulting with a broad spectrum of clients, including CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, advisors, and sales teams, as well as young adults who have autism and Down syndrome, helping them to communicate more effectively using his technique, trust-based languaging. Welcome, Ari, and thank you for joining me today. You've got a very impressive resume.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I received a copy of your book set. My goodness, that was so impressive. It was oppressively packaged. Oh, geez, I encourage anyone to go out and grab a copy of it.
We call that our trust box.
Yeah, it absolutely is. No, it's wonderful. So tell me a little bit more about trust-based marketing.
Yeah, well, you probably caught the accent, first of all. I'm from the US originally, and been here for 20 years. Met my wife online on a dating site. She's an Aussie. So I live here now with 3 kids. So so there's a whole story behind trust-based selling that I figured out about 20 years ago, and I'll kind of cover that real quick and kind of catch you up with the whole concept. But I used to be a sales manager in a software company, and we launched the first online website tracking tools for websites to track user behavior, analytics, and stuff like that. And now it's basically free on Google Analytics. Back then, it cost money, and I was managing 18 people underneath me, salespeople, and the big opportunities came my way. And this one lead came across my desk. I called them back, and it's a big company, and they agreed to a conference call and a demo to see our product. So it was such a big opportunity that if I close this one sale, it would double the turnover in one go of the company. So it's pretty exciting. They finally came Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was in my conference room with my managing director. Closed door behind me, a big long table in the middle of the conference room with a spaceship kind of conference phones they used to have in other worlds. So I dialed the number, and my contact picks it up, says hello, and I said hello, and he says to me, Ari, let me tell you who's with us in the line today, or in the room with us today. And next thing I hear is, my name is Mike, I'm CEO. I was like, wow, the CEOs are out. That's pretty amazing. My name is John, I'm head of IT. Oh, this is good. My name is Julie, I'm head of marketing, global marketing. I was like, oh, this is great. I mean, everybody on this phone call was basically a decision maker, right? This is the call, hoping as often as possible. So then I began to introduce myself and described our product and gave a live demo over the web to show them how it all works. And I'm showing this to them, and I started hearing this noise on the phone call, like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. We can use this tomorrow. This is fantastic. They started asking me all kinds of questions. How does it work? How do we install it? I mean, they had all the right kinds of questions. I had all the right kinds of answers. There was so much chemistry on this phone call, Rose. It was like a love fest on the phone. You know what I'm talking about? It just felt so perfect. I mean, there was no resistance. I mean, the whole call was like a love fest. I was answering questions. They were happy. I was doing my job, being competent, being friendly, answering objections. And I was a student of selling back then. I had the books at home and the CDs in my car, and I was doing my thing. And an hour goes by. They were really happy, and so was I. And the call comes to an end, and my contact says to me, Ari, we love it. This is great. You give us a call in a couple of weeks, follow up with us, and we'll move this thing forward. I said to myself, oh, thank you. That's amazing. So I said my goodbyes. I took my arm and I reached for the phone in the middle of the table, hit the off button. As I'm reaching for the off button, by complete accidents, I hit the mute button instead. They were right next to each other. And I hit the button and a small click happened, and they thought I hung up the phone. In that split second, a voice inside of me said, Ari, go to the dark side, be a fly in the wall, listen, and you got nothing to lose. And so for whatever reason, divine intervention, I pulled my thumb back. They started talking amongst themselves, thinking I had left the call. And I listened for a couple of seconds. Now, what might you imagine they would have said? Is that a trick question? What would you expect them to say after a call like that?
Well, I think, if you've said all the right things, I'm sure they would be very impressed, and that would be my reaction. Yeah, I'd be impressed if you had answered all the questions in the right way and had built trust with them. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's what you expect them to say, right?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what they said verbatim, word for word. I'll never forget it. That's why we're all here today. What they said was that they said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife in heart twist. I was in a state of shock. I could not believe it. I finally had enough courage to hit the off button. I looked at the wall and said to myself, what did I do wrong? I was honest. I was professional. I was enthusiastic. And the first big epiphany hit me. And that was this. You can tell me if you agree with this or not. But somewhere along the way, it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth to people who sell, right?
I hate that. I so hate it because I'm a really truthful person. And if I've, trying to sell a product that I don't believe in, well, then I can't possibly sell it with any enthusiasm.
Well, it's like, it's okay to say something like, sounds good, send me information, but having any intention of buying. It's like, it's a very dysfunctional relationship. It
is.
Painful.
I don't like it. I hate people who lie. I hate people who lie to me. Absolutely.
So I realized at that moment, the reason why there's this non-truth happening here is because there's an invisible flow of pressure that flows underneath the sales conversations you have with people pre-sale. And if you don't remove the pressure from the process, what will happen is their guard will always be up and they'll hold back from you. You have to chase them to get the truth. So I realized I got to come up with my own way to unlock this game, this crazy game. And I call it the unlock the game approach or mindset, to basically shift your thinking away from the sale and only focus on trust building so they feel comfortable opening up to you and telling you the truth. And that became a whole revolution 20 years ago, which is now growing leaps and bounds by people who are tired of selling the old way, tired of being dehumanized, and we're looking for an integrity-based way of building trust and making sales happen. That's the foundation of trust-based selling.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I so dislike when I'm trying to sell them something, and I'm not very good at sales because I can sell something, but I can't close. Closing is my big thing.
Well, you'll learn today that it's not about closing anymore. It's about how you open.
Yeah. And I just, people would say, yeah, I'm really interested and blah, blah, blah. And you send them all the information and then, they never get back to you.
That's what happens a million times every single day to everyone out in the business world right now.
I know, and it breaks my heart, because I've done all this work and I get in crickets, and it's
Yeah, you get
heartening.
seduced, you chase ghosts, you get dehumanized. It's a horrible experience. It's like being abused and going back to your abuser again. It's
Yeah.
really my mission is to change that whole process so that no one at the end feels like they're taken advantage of.
Beautiful. So tell me what's a good opening then? How do you open to get people to trust you?
Well, it starts with, first of all, clearing out your hard drive and your mind about what you believe selling is all about. And so to do that, I think we should probably deal with the sales myths that are probably in the back of everyone's mind right now from the old gurus and still conditioned from the past, brainwashed from what you think selling is all about. So the first principle is the idea that sales is a numbers game. And that came from the idea that the more contacts you make, the more sales you make. Well, we discovered in this economy now, it's not about how many contacts you make anymore. It's about how deep you go on each conversation, how good you are at trust building, not how good you are at how many contacts you make. That's a real shift in thinking because it isn't about volume anymore. It's about quality. And number two is the idea that the sales lost at the end of the process. Usually you lose your sale at the end. You try hard, it all looks good. It drops off. You're like, oh, why didn't that go through? Well, we discovered the sales not lost anymore at the end of the process. You know where it's lost?
Beginning.
At the hello. It's lost in the beginning and we don't even realize it. We're chasing people at the end when it was lost at the beginning, which is a real mindset shift for people who believe that it's all about the close. And the last one is the idea of rejection. The rejection is part of the sales process to accept it. And we discovered, you know what? Rejection actually is triggered by certain things you say and do unconsciously that cause the other person to pull back on you and not tell you the truth. And I'll share those with you today and your listeners so they can, for the first time, make a breakthrough and not ever experience rejection again.
That would be great. Please go ahead.
All right. So let's get into it now. I think the best place to go with this is to kind of share with you a bit about the principles behind our philosophy and our model and our system. And we'll start with the first concept, and that is that your goal is to always be diffusing the pressure, taking it out of the conversation to allow a bubble of vulnerability and safety to allow the person to feel comfortable talking to you. Let me give you an example of this. So we invented our own, what we call trust-based languaging. Words and phrases to use that activate trust in a conversation with somebody. Here's an example. Let's say on our first call with a potential client for a customer, and the call is going well, could be a good fit, you're looking forward to it. Our call kind of comes to an end. Usually what you say to somebody is things like, hey, how about we have a cup of coffee? How about we get together? How about we move things where? Forward, right? We're conditioned to move the sales process forward the moment we sense an opportunity. That's our brainwashing from all the gurus who told us it's all about moving them down a path to the end. So same scenario, our approach. Call's going well, call comes to an end. Rather than saying, hey, how about we move forward? What we say instead is this. We say, where do you think we should go from here?
Makes sense.
Now, how does that change the moment of the conversation? How are they perceiving you now when you say to somebody, where do you think we should go from here?
Well, you're giving them the opportunity to say yes or no.
Usually,
I think you're giving them the opportunity to, say, well, yeah, I really like your thing. I'd like to discuss it with you a bit further. Or they can say, well, thank you for the telephone call, but, don't call me again.
Usually they're in a state of shock.
Well, and that too, probably.
They can't believe somebody asks you and ask them, where do you think we should go from here? That is unheard of in the sales world, to ask somebody what they think versus taking them down a process. And you know what usually happens is you just say things like, well, I've got one more question, or what about this? All of a sudden, you know what comes out? The truth. The truth comes out in the beginning because you shifted your approach, changed your languaging to allow trust to be built and not take them down a sales process which they know is coming. You see, we're so conditioned and wedded to having a linear model towards the end goal of the sale. They know right away when you're not being fully present with them. They can tell you're listening, but your mind is on the next step already. They know that with their intuition. That's why they hold back from you and don't tell you the truth. And you end up chasing people and never wondering why they never convert.
Yeah, I say it's like I'm just recently I've had some people on LinkedIn, and they've asked me to connect with them. And then the next thing I know, like, they're sending me sales stuff. And I thought, well, you haven't even like said hello yet. Please buy this from me. No, unconnect and unfollow, because I'm not into that. Just it's horrible.
It's amazing how ubiquitous this is, how the world's so conditioned to prematurely try and sell to somebody without trust first. They don't know how to consciously create trust with people. It's a new skill. You see, we do it intuitively with our kids and our spouses, hopefully if you have a functional relationship with them. But in most cases, we really don't know how to consciously create trust with people in the sales process, because we're carrying what I call armor on, sales armor, where we change our role, become somebody else, inauthentic, and we lose who we are. We lose our ability to connect with people because we don't focus on their problems. We focus on our solutions. And that's the problem. We have to break that cycle. Otherwise, our world ends up in more dysfunctionality over time.
And we're in enough dysfunction at the moment, so we don't need any more.
Yeah, we can unravel a lot of this by people who can really be open to shifting their mindset and focusing on trust, and realize the irony of this all is when you let go of the sale, you make more sales. It sounds crazy, but people want to work with people who aren't focused on themselves, on their own goal. They're focused on the other person's goals.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about that, since March last year, how the mind shift of business owners or business coaches has changed to what you've just been describing, where you look at the goals of the client rather than the purpose of the sales call.
Well, it's like a doctor-patient relationship. You're the doctor, they're the patient. They have a problem, they want to solve it. They don't want all the games in between. They don't want to process, they don't want follow-up. They don't want to network with you. They don't want to have my famous bumper sticker is doctors don't do coffee. Like, they don't want to do fake rapport. They don't want to play that game. It's like no one does. See, when they have a problem, all they are asking themselves is, do I trust her? Do I trust her? They don't really care about your solution. What they care about is if you're the one to solve their problem or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of times too, like on website pages, people don't focus on the problem of the potential client either. They just push out the solution, and it's all me, and they don't use the WIFM thing, what's in it for me.
Yeah, there's so much noise out there right now that
absolutely,
they can't discern between who's authentic and who's not.
No, that's
the problem. True. And so what I tell my clients is the world has become so commoditized that even your prospects and clients can't discern how you are different anymore, because the products all look the same, offers are the same. So you can't rely anymore on your solution as being unique and different. You have to now focus on making your sales process unique and different by building trust into it.
So tell me a little bit more about this set of books. I'm just going to dig them out here. I've kept them beside me here because I wanted to talk to you about them.
Sure.
Because I've got to show people how it comes, honestly. It comes in this great box, guys. Look, like it's a box. And you get this this CD thing with all the testimonials. Oh, the light's not real good, and they get a cord and everything so you can plug it in. And you get 3 books. Unlock the Sales Game. Oh, can't really see them very well. So there we go. Yep. And then Trusted Authority.
Yep.
And then you've got this one, Lessons from Toby, which is absolutely a lovely book. I read part of it and it was really heartwarming. And then you get Success Stories from Virtually Every Industry.
Yeah.
Now, and then you get these other things as well. And honestly, for what the cost is, it's an amazing value. And I do recommend that people go out and buy it.
Sure. Well, if anybody wants to learn any more, they can always go to unlockthegame.com. And there's an intro free course there. I have a new book I'm working on right now. It's called The One Call Sale. That's coming out next year. Hopefully it's a real winner. It's gonna help a lot of people. I figured out a way to compress the sales cycle down to one phone call, believe it or not. It's hard to even imagine that. But on one scheduled call, you can make a sale with somebody without pressure, without closing, without awkwardness, all based on trust. And so I'm releasing that soon.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to get it. I'll have to beg a copy from you.
Well, maybe I'll come back on the show before I launch. And how about that?
Oh, that would be great. Yes, we could talk about that then.
Yeah.
So, got otherwise words, Ari? Because it's been really interesting to talk to you.
I'll say one more thing that I think is a real zinger for everybody. I'm going to ask everyone on this conversation today to take an oath with me, a verbal oath, to remove one phrase forever out of your vocabulary you never ever use again in your business, and that's the phrase follow up. Follow up is a word you never want to use ever again on email or phone calls. Who's used the word follow up in the last few weeks? Hi, I'm calling to follow up. The only industry in the world that uses the word follow up is sales. You don't want to use any languaging that connects you to that stereotype. There's follow up, touch base, checking in. Those are all sales languaging phrases you don't ever want to use ever again. What you say instead is this. And by the way, we have every sales scenario broken down by languaging in our program. But here's what you say instead. You say, I'm just giving you a call to see if you have any feedback on our previous conversation, any feedback on our previous email. You go backwards, not forwards, which is the opposite direction. And that lets them feel comfortable telling you the truth.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you. It's, I probably haven't been using those exact words, but yeah, it's backwards engineering, isn't it?
Exactly right. The whole goal is to remove momentum from your sales process. Momentum creates pressure. Pressure creates them shutting down on you, and you end up chasing it. It sounds almost so contrarian to what selling is supposed to be. Selling is supposed to be hunting, pursuing, closing. And you know what? That is what created all this functionality and all the problems.
Yeah, I've just recently had a coach reach out to me, and he can make me six figures in 6 months. And this course is free, and and the amount of messages that he sent me to pressure me into signing up to do this course, but it's free, Rose. No pressure, but but it's free. And I think for about 2 days solid, I just kept getting these Facebook messages from him, and I almost relented and said yes, even though intuitively I didn't want to do it, because I just knew that I couldn't make six figures in 6 months, not with the services that I provide. But honestly, it's just pressure selling is like icky.
Yeah, it's really a damaged part of our society and our mentality, and that's why I'm adamant on making sure that I help the world change around this topic and unravel from brainwashing and detoxing away from this that we've all been conditioned for years to kind of behave in a way like a robotic sleepwalking, not waking up the reality of what it's causing people and causing people to sell and lose money.
Yeah, no, it's not a good process, and as you said, it's really noisy out there, and it is hard for people to make the sales that they want to because they have so much competition. But if they put the right steps in process. And where can they find this course of yours again?
Yeah, just go to unlockthegame.com. There's a few options in there, and find your way out to us, reach out to us, say hello, and we'll take it from there.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Ari, for your time today. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and please don't forget to reach out to me when your book is ready to launch.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Take care.